Hello, I'm Graham Elwood, and this is another edition of The Political Vigilante. Today, I want to talk about a report that came out a couple days ago, and it was there's an article by Amina Khan in the LATimes.com. The title of it is Earth Sets Heat Record in 2016 for third year in a row. It's official. 2016 was the hottest year on record since scientists began tracking Earth's temperature more than 100 years ago, according to independent analysis by NASA and the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. Two liberal, hippie, weirdo fake news organizations, sounds like. The 1.69 degree jump over the 20th century average, according to NOAA, marks the third year in a row that global temperatures have reached record-shattering levels. The National Aeronautics and Space Administration added that the global average temperature for 2016 was 1.78 degrees higher than a baseline period between 1951 and 1980. Climate change is here, guys. It's happening. The evidence is in. The bleaching of the Great Barrier Reef, rising sea levels, wildfire storms, it's here, it's happening, and now there is a White House with a bunch of Nazis, wife beaters, and climate change deniers. So this is pretty alarming. So both agencies noted that Earth's average global temperature, which NOAA pegged at 57 degrees during the 20th century, was higher in 2016 than in any year since scientists began tracking it in 1880. Quote, "For the first time in recorded history, we have now had 3 consecutive record warm years," said Michael Mann, a climate scientist at Pennsylvania State University, who was not involved in the findings. "The likelihood of this having happened in the absence of human-caused global warming is minimal." And of course, they gave these results as Donnie's nominee to lead the Environmental Protection Agency said he disagreed with the overwhelming scientific consensus that Earth is warming at a catastrophic rate and that human activities are to blame. So his guy is Oklahoma Attorney General Scott Pruitt, and he told senators during he had this very fighty, very contentious confirmation hearing. He said, quote, "The ability to measure with precision the extent of human impact and what to do about it are subject to continued debate and dialogue." Bam, there it is. As I talked about in numerous episodes of this, but specifically the connection between Trump, Putin, and the climate bubble. This is what the carbon bubble. What the fossil fuel people, the oil industry, or the carbon people, this is their main mode of attack here, is just the slightest bit of deniability to climate change. Well, there's a lot of sides. We got to weigh it out. We got to, it's like if there's I shoot a hole in your roof and it's raining in here, and you're like, "Graham, you shot a hole in my roof." And there's a lot of ways roofs can kind of, settle in, and water's good, and you can use it to clean and cook. But let's not, throw the baby out with the bathwater. Yeah. But you might be asking, but Graham, how do these NASA and this NOAA, how do these organizations, it's probably just a couple of nerds go on the roof of their science building, right? Come up with some fake stats just to help out the Sierra Club. The average global temperature incorporates measurements taken from locations across land and sea, including 6,300 ground-based weather stations, legions of ocean buoys, and research facilities in Antarctica. That's a lot. Those instruments tracked record warm temperatures for 8 months a year. NASA and NOAA agree that January, February, March, April, May, June, July, and August set new records. Oh boy. The global thermostat got a boost during the first part of 2016 thanks to El Nino, a multi-year weather pattern in the equatorial Pacific Ocean that's driven by temperature fluctuations between the ocean and atmosphere. The slight cooling effect from El Nino's counterpart, La Nina, in the later half of the year couldn't keep 2016 from beating 2015. So even with a cooling trend, it still beat 2015. And of course, these were felt across the globe. Kuwait, a place I've been to on 4 different occasions, reached 129.2 degrees, the highest ever in Asia. Man. A wildfire burned in Canada, killed about took out 2,400 homes, and became the costliest natural disaster in that country's history. South Africa, 2 years of low rainfall. It's just the Earth's average temperature has risen about 2 degrees since the late 19th century. The bulk of that increase has come since 1980, and especially since the turn of the century. Of the 17 warmest years on record, 16 occurred since 2001, according to NASA. How can you dispute that? It's not a surprise. Scientists have been predicting this for a while. And basically they go through, the data has been suggesting this is going to happen. Since the start of the Industrial Revolution, humans have released unprecedented amounts of carbon dioxide and other heat-trapping greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. The results can be seen around the globe, including higher sea levels, acidic oceans, more extreme weather events, and local extinctions of species that haven't been able to adapt to changes in their ecosystems. As the oceans warm and more water evaporates, the atmosphere is able to carry more water, which can lead to more severe storms and flooding, said Richard Rodd, a climate scientist at University of Michigan in Ann Arbor. Last year was really quite remarkable with regard to the floods, Rhodes said, pointing to events in Louisiana and the Carolinas and Texas. Those events strike me as particularly compelling. Well, the NOAA and NASA use slightly different methods to calculate global temperature changes. Their measurements matched well with each other and with other analyses, including one from the nonprofit climate research group Berkeley Earth, which also called 2016 the hottest year on record. All the data is coming up the same from all these different places. It's just in the... And this Richard Muller, a UC Berkeley scientist and Berkeley Earth's co-founder, wow, he took issue with the idea that today's extreme weather events could be directly linked to global warming. He said the real effects would be seen in the future and likely would affect areas with agricultural production, which would lead to geopolitical conflict. In my mind, the greatest threat of global warming is war, he said. And here's the thing. You can climate change deny all you want. The Pentagon, for over 10 years now, has had plans in place, like hypotheticals, of what happens when climate change and changing weather patterns affects countries on a geopolitical level, right? So if a country can't produce crops and then there's rioting and there's, what's going to happen? It's going to get bad. The U.S. experienced 15 weather-related disasters last year, including drought, wildfire, flooding, severe storms, and a hurricane, which together resulted in losses of $46 billion and the deaths of 138 people, the NOAA said. In addition, 13.1 million Americans living along coastlines are vulnerable to flooding caused by the melting of polar ice reserves, according to a recent study. This is, again, the thing I was talking about in the carbon bubble 2-part videos that I did. This is the thing. If we all say the fear is that everyone's going to just pull their money out of fossil fuels, namely oil and coal, well before they run out. But that's the thing. If everybody just says, oil is bad, we got to get rid of it, then it has no more value anymore if we're all getting off of it. If the sea levels keep rising, beachfront property isn't worth anything anymore. The North American continent experienced its warmest year on record, led by rising temperatures in the Arctic. At the northern reaches of the globe, scientists measured an average of 3.92 million square miles of sea ice over the course of 2016, the lowest annual average since their measurements began in 1979. Oh, man. So, guys, here's the thing. I don't mean to be... it's more evidence. It's compelling. So, it's daunting. You read that and you go, oh, we're screwed. It's over. We're fucked. It's done. So, several things you can do. As I've talked about numerous times, you got to take a stand. You got to fight for good climate legislation. And, as I've said, vote with your dollars. The Trump administration is all about money. I mean, that's what America's always been about. But the Trump administration is all about money. And it's all about oil money, primarily. And so stop using it as much as you can. I mean, think about how you can use the least amount of it. And petition and write people and get as informed as you can. And when you come across anyone that's like, oh, I don't know, maybe we got to weigh the issues, say it's the oil industry that is saying we need to weigh the issues. The oil industry is just trying to cause just a hint of doubt. Because the minute everybody goes, oh yeah, it's done. We got to get out of oil. It's over. We can't burn oil. We can't burn coal. We got to get out of this. When that happens, then all those people are out of money. And the plan, what we need are progressive politicians that are willing to have like a Green New Deal, like FDR's New Deal, and say, look, yeah, we're closing down this oil refinery, or we're closing down that coal mine, and right in its place, we're putting a factory that builds solar panels or wind turbines or something like that. That's what we need, that sort of sensible, that we can transition so there isn't this carbon bubble that bursts and then the economy crashes and then it's everybody up for grabs. Take a breath. We're going to get through this. Also, pull your money out of banks. Defund DAPL. Google that. Go to that website. It'll show you what banks to pull your money out of. Hit them where it hurts. This is Graham Elwood with the Political Vigilante. Stay vigilant.